Welcome back to Invictus Forum. You can follow us on YouTube and you can also follow us on Facebook, Invictus Forum. Subscribe and follow. Let's continue with our revision, excuse me, on 730 English language prescribed texts. And this time we're going to talk about justify using the three prescribed texts that human relationship bring pains. It should be noted here that it is a combination of human relationships and pain. You must be able to show us the link between the human relationship and how that human relationship bring pains to the individual or individuals concerned. We'll begin with across the Mongolo. The reunification of Anglophones and Francophones to form the Republic of Kamangola bring pains to the Anglophones because at the end of the union, decisions which had been arrived at Fumbala Congress are not put into execution. Therefore, Anglophones feel marginalized, discriminated against, and assimilated. In a cabinet of 40 ministers, no Anglophone holds a post with high portfolio. The only person who happens to be in the government, Mr. Wankili, is nothing but a shadow minister of special duties at the presidency. Anglophones also believe that they are discriminated against when Ngwe and his friend go to the prefecture to certify their documents, and the secretary there tells them that she is not there to serve Anglophones. Shirila's father also resigns from the public service because the young Francophone colleagues come and they are appointed to become his boss, and Anglophones are not given the same opportunities of promotion in their places of work. Anglophones also believe that they are being discriminated against, they are assimilated against when the students at the University of Besadi are forced to write all their answers in French. And most of the teachers at the university teach in French. Even Dr. Ambo has difficulty in taking a major course despite his qualification because he has been asked to do so in French, which he refuses. Secondly, the marriage between Menyinka and Ndi Nkemasa brings pains for Menyinka because her husband beats her for cutting plantain leaves near the ancestral shrine, highlighting ancestral worship. Her husband is also very chauvinistic as he takes most of the decisions on behalf of the family concerning Ngwe without informing Menyinka or asking for her opinion. Firstly, he decides to send Ngwe to school without seeking the opinion of Menyinka, who believes that her son is too young, he will be beaten in school, and he will die of hunger. It is also a lot of pains when the Nkemasa decides to separate Ngwe from his mother by sending the boy to continue his education at Miemfi with teacher Marewe. It should be noted that these incidents are very painful because Ngwe is Menyinka's only child. Anglophone leaders also cause a lot of pain for Anglophones. Chief and Doctor complain of Changu Cha, who had sold Anglophones at the Fumbala Congress to get a personal position for himself in the Republic of Kamangola. Wankili leaves his guests also very angry about his declaration And one of them being that he is not an Anglophone, he is not in charge of settling Anglophone problems, and his office will not be a place for Anglophone gossip. Therefore, he will be serving the head of state. It should also be noted that Ngwe gets involved in a romantic relationship with Shirela, which lands him in a lot of pains. First of all, Ngwe comes to realize that Shirela is dating Monsieur Abeso, and she confesses that she does that purely because she gains material things from him. Nevertheless, in the confrontation between Ngwe and Monsieur Abeso in Shirela's room, Monsieur Abeso leaves threatening Ngwe that there will be consequences. And after Ngwe writes the exam and the results are published, Ngwe finally realizes that he has been given a 0 in 2 of his main courses. Ironically, these are courses in which he usually performs extremely well, causing him to have a mental breakdown. In Lake God, the relationship between Father Leo and Fon Joseph is one that brings a lot of pain for the Fon. He befriends and raises Fon Joseph, leaving him powerless. Therefore, he has total control of whatever decision that Father Leo or that the Fon takes. For example, it is the Fon who influences Fon Joseph not to perform the sacrifice which he considers to be a pagan one. He continues to shower him with money to buy cattle so that he can render him powerless and control him. Consequently, the Fon begins to have nightmares in which he sees his father, who is not very happy with him. He also has problems with his subjects, who constantly remind him that he is neglecting his royal duties, like She Boyo. And the women decide to stand their ground against him by telling him that he will, of course, perform the sacrifice. The women are not happy with their husbands' docility. They believe that the men are so quiet and are behaving like cowards, they cannot stand their grounds against the Fon. This relationship between the men and the women becomes sour as the women engage in taking the oath of sealed lips, in which they decide to starve their husbands of their matrimonial rights of food and sex. It is so pathetic a situation to the point that the men drink palm wine on empty stomachs. The Fon and the chief priest are supposed to be the custodians of the traditions of the people. But the latter comes to the palace to remind the Fon once in a while that he is neglecting his royal duties. And all of this relationship between the two turns sour as the Fon uses his thugs to beat up the chief priest mercilessly and throw him out of the palace. Angela is married and loves her husband, but her husband's intransigence not to perform the sacrifice and not to listen to the advice of his subject causes her a lot of pains. When the women visit the Fon to report about the problems concerning the destruction of their crops by cattle, the Fon is indifferent, and the women refuse to sell food to Angela at the market. Secondly, the women refuse to recognize her as the queen, and in addition, they remind her of her barrenness. In Madame Bovary, Charles's mother decides to contract a marriage for Charles with Heloise. This marriage brings him a lot of pains because at the end of it all, he leaves the marriage penniless and broke. Leon also falls in love with Emma, and they both share romantic moments together and become inseparable. But when Leon decides to go to continue his studies, he leaves town without informing Emma. And when Emma learns about his departure, she's emotionally shattered and she is frustrated. Emma continues in her promiscuity and flirtatious attitudes by having a relationship with Rodolphe. And Rodolphe later on also abandons her, leaving her in debt, leaving her frustrated and in great pain that forces her to commit suicide. Charles discovers in Emma's suicidal notes about her infidelity. She confesses that she had been unfaithful to her husband all through their marriage. Consequently, although he forgives her, he is heartbroken and he dies of heartbreak. In A Walk in the Night, Michael's relationship with his white boss is a very tumultuous one, which leads him to so much pain. As Michael takes off a few minutes to ease himself, and which is to the displeasure of his white boss, who rebukes and reproaches him, and Michael speaks back, and he is immediately dismissed from his place of work, making him to become unemployed and forcing him to become very frustrated. Uncle Dottie befriends Michael Adonis, and when he comes back to the apartment building after he had been sacked from his place of work, he tries as much as possible to console him with a bottle of whiskey. But it turns out, sir, that in an argument, Michael hits him with a bottle of whiskey, and the old man falls and dies. Lorenzo's wife's pregnancy is a cause of problem within the home, as it causes pain to Lorenzo, because the arrival of a new baby will mean that there is additional financial burden on him, especially as the family barely survives on the little that they have. Constable Rat is a very racist, violent, and inhumane human being whose wife's infidelity and drunkenness causes him a lot of pain. And he takes out his frustration on other people with whom he interacts with. He visits Jolly Boy Social Club, and Chips makes a joke with him which he does not appreciate. And he hits Chip very hard on the jaw, causing him to bleed. Moreover, when he is informed of Constable Ralph's of Uncle Dottie's death, and Willie Boy is suspected to be the killer, he goes out to find the young boy. He shoots him at close range. He throws him behind a police van and allows him to bleed to death. You can choose 3 or 4 points and develop them fully well as your answer. But you must be able to show that the pain is caused because of human relationship. And you must define the relationship between the humans, and then show how that relationship brings pain. Thank you for watching. Watch out for our next video. Leave us a comment. Share these videos with other students so that they too can partake in the revision and they prepare well for the upcoming examination. Have a blessed day.